Hello, guys. This is Wicked Raider 22. Welcome back to the channel. If you are a beginning player, you are definitely in the right place. We are free to play here, but hey, everyone is always welcome. Be sure to subscribe, of course. And if you have comments, if you have tips, please do not hesitate to leave those. Here's something I want to talk about. Let's talk about progression today. And I want to look at a couple of champions. If you are a beginning player, especially if you are a player that has more than one account, there's something you're going to notice pretty quickly in the game of Raid Shadow Legends. Depending on when you begin your account, I'll be honest, it makes a lot of difference, especially when you're looking at the champions in particular that you're able to obtain. We're talking about 1,000 champions, guys. So, one thing I've noticed on this particular free to play account, and I'm going to do a couple of videos. Actually, I think I'm going to do a little series on some of the champions that I've been able to pull in my other free to play account, as well as some of the champions I've pulled on my pay to play account. I want you guys to kind of see the difference. I also want you to pay attention to things like the level at which I've been able to make it to. So overall, we're at level 36 at this point. So power level is 102K. What I've noticed about this particular account is the slow progression. So, progression as far as our artifacts is one thing that is really irking me. It's been really difficult for me to get my champions to the level I would like for them to be at, basically because we've got to farm better gear. All right, gear is a huge one. The other area that I really want to focus on will be masteries. And remember, if you're free to play, you're going to be going into the Minotaur area in order to achieve these masteries. If you are pay to play, of course, you can use your gems and make those purchases that you need. Another area that you will definitely probably start diving into a lot deeper is going to be the forge. And I'll tell you guys now, a lot of my champions lately that I pulled have been attack champions. So let's just kind of look. We began this account, all the mighty pop-ups, the mighty pop-ups. Go in, get these. Those rarity charms, guys, remember they're going to be used in the forge. And so the other thing that you want to pay attention to is what materials you have available for you. I will tell you that once you have unlocked your forge and you start going through Doom Tower, which is located here at level 40, we get to unlock that. That's where you're going to start acquiring those other materials that you need to start creating those products that you see. So all of these, as you go down and start getting to that level 5, level 6, you'll notice that there are going to be certain things that you're still in need of. And so you will definitely have the ability to go in and to gain those artifacts as you move through Doom Tower. So don't worry, it's coming. Now, a lot of the level 3 and 4 star in the Forge, you may be able to go ahead and craft those out, depending on what champion you're trying to accommodate. Is going to be a big one. But it's not that we haven't pulled champions that have value for the teams we're trying to put together. We pulled some pretty good people. Of course, our beginning champion was El Hain. I'll be honest, on all of my accounts, I have really hesitated in taking my starting champion to level 60. And I know it's something that you hear a lot of creators talk about. But here's where my issue has come. In my previous account, in my pay to play, I actually took Deliana to level 60, and I'm proud that I did. There's a huge difference when you take this champion from level 5 to level 6. So her 6-star progression is impressive, especially if you are beginning to early mid game. Depending on what type of team you like to run, and depending on the gear that you're able to actually put on her. And I've noticed that as my gear has improved, of course, the ability of my champions has as well. The other thing is you also are able to unlock, after ascending her 3 levels, her aura. And this is another one. Being able to unlock auras and to get that boost in is something that I definitely have to pay attention to. I think the same goes for those champions like Shield Guard. You will hear a lot of people talk about the importance in the change in their gameplay that Shield Guard has allowed them to have. I've taken him up to level 50 on more than one account, but I have never taken him to level 60. And that's where I am. I think I'm going to 6-star him. I definitely think it would be worth it. And the other thing I would like to do is to finally 6-star and fully max out masteries for my champions. Miscreated Monster is another one. A lot of people talk about the abilities that are unlocked along the way. So if you're asking yourself progression in general, first 3 stars, easy, not a problem. A lot of the champions you start acquiring, they are 3-star champions already. Going to 4 stars, not really a big deal. But when you're getting 5 and 6-star, you start paying attention, really close attention to the amount of resources that you're using, especially when you're thinking about the amount of books or the amount of dupes you're going to need to max out your particular champion. Even looking here, when you're looking at the type of skills, and you notice that we're getting better about going in, adding books to my champions. I am choosing to only add books currently to my top 6. So whatever champions I'm going to use off top as my top 6 will be my first, or honestly, my top 4 are the first 4 that I look at as far as that type of progression. Now, what it will also do, it will open up these slots as far as your other artifacts, where you're coming in to do the necklace, to do the banner, to do the rings. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well. On my other account, I'm also trying to avoid putting and using so much silver. And instead, I want to upgrade and obtain better artifacts. So a lot of the artifacts that I have, I'm certainly not happy with them. There are a lot of these champions that I definitely want to go in and rework as well, because my progression is slow. It's been real slow and extremely steady. And you guys will see here, we've had some pretty good pulls. We do have Apothecary. With Apothecary, even on my other accounts, Apothecary really isn't hitting, and I'm not loving him the way so many other people do. I do hold on to him as a rare champion because there are secret rooms in Doom Tower that are extremely specific as to which champions can and cannot be used. And so for some of those rooms, he would be important. The other thing is, even with some of my champions who I think would serve decent purposes, it comes down to the artifacts. So how much I'm able to pour in. I try to avoid, since we were using that beginning gear, I had some 3-star that were already level 12. But at this point, it's all about farming 4 and 5-star and seeing where we can go with this at the end of the day. Now, what are some other things that may change? I'm looking at the easiest way for me to go into the tavern and increase or upgrade my champions. So we're going to take Elhain off. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. So let's say, for example, I have this champion. I want to upgrade him. And you're going to notice the brews that you have. I have chosen to use a brew for all of my 1-star. And then I go in and I add other champions to go ahead and max them out. This is going to save me a lot of time. It's also going to save me a number of resources. And we're going to do this one for 3 of our champions. So we're going to go in, max them out, of course, get them up to the 2-star, because what you're having to do at the end of the day is making sure that you have allowed yourself the access to champions so that you have them available. You need that food to rank up. And what will end up happening as you acquire more champions that you find it hard to sacrifice and get away from, you will end up taking some of these champions, honestly, to 4 and 5-star. No gear, no nothing, as naked as they come, but you are literally running them through those campaigns only to build them up to use them continuously as that food source. So here's another one. We're going to add in, which should be 3 champions, and they are now all level 2s. So let's go in, take that next step with our champion. We're going to upgrade. And the 1 stars, you're doing good. Feeling pretty accomplished. 2 stars, usually pretty the same. You're feeling pretty accomplished. You're moving forward. And as you guys can see, we have a number of 2-star champions that we're going to start running through. Now, the other strategy that I use for my 2-star champions is figuring out who I can use as my campaign farmer, who is going to be able to run that course the fastest. Now, with my other accounts, I either use Deliana. She's a really good one. I know some people that will use some of the hounds are good for campaigning because of where we are in the game. So let's take those champions. You want to be careful about your choice. You want to max it out. Now, if all was great in the world, I would come to 12-3 in brutal mode, preferably. But as you guys can see, when I go to brutal on this account, we have not made it that far. So for brutal, we are right at the beginning. Like we just overcame our most recent challenge. So I'm going to come over to Brimstone and go to 12-3. Now, 12-3, there are a lot of reasons, but of course, shields, if you're going to resell them, which at this point, we're selling all gear that is not great. So anything that is not 4-star and above, honestly, I'm not going to keep. Those artifacts, you're going to get a little bit more silver when it comes to selling your shields. The other thing I want to keep in mind is you're going to notice at this point in your game, at this point in your progression, you end up with a lot of energy. So it's kind of the hints that you want to go in and start running those battles. Now, on the flip side, all of my upper champions, when I am running through Brutal, for example, I'm going to run a team full of those upper champions because my goal is to unlock those levels and it's also to allow them to acquire more XP. So right now, I'm going to stick with Deliana, and I'll show you guys the difference time-wise. We're going to go through and we're going to pick some of our 2-star champions because we want to be able to use them to elevate our others. So we already have Head Piercer, for example, is here. We're going to pick these 2 guys as well. Let's go in and see what we can do. I am reserving my multi-battles for either when I am running a dungeon or when I am running all of my upper champions through for XP purposes. It allows me to kind of walk away from it and let those battles go through. Now you can just add up those multi-battles. I've gotten to the point where I have maybe 100, 150, and I will allow those battles to run in the background or just let them run all night. When you get up, all of your champions are pretty much maxed out and you're going through. The goal of running campaign in this way. So think about it. We have Deliana who's going to do the crux of the work. And I don't think she's going to make it through this particular part of the dungeon. If she does not make it through this part, of the campaign, I'm going to go back a couple of levels because when you are able, notice we only got like 3,200. No artifacts, no nothing. And each of my food champions only have 983 XP. So let's go back a few levels. It's not that we aren't loving our levels, but if I'm able to do other levels a little bit better, we should get a better response. So let's come here. Oh, we'll weigh it down. Let's go stage 3 still. We're going to keep our food in place. So make sure you're running with who you need to run with. And let's see if we are successful. None of the champions we're running right now have an aura. So you are going to get that screen a couple of times, but no worries. Now, the good thing is these battles will become a little bit smoother as you're able to increase your champions because they're going to help out a little bit more. But the thing is being able to run them quickly. I will sometimes go all the way down by 7 or 8 areas just to be able to run a stage in campaign in about 15 seconds or so. There are some stages I can now run at 7 seconds. So the amount of time you're spending per level, per area within campaign, it does, of course, improve. And as you know, my Deliana is not level 60. She's not maxed out right now. And I'm at the point, I believe, guys, the XP even went up for her. but I'm really tempted to go in and make a sacrifice in order to get her up to level 60. So we weren't successful there. So the Deadlands a little too much. I'm going to come back to my other place, which is Palace of, what is it, Arabia? So let's try stage 3, which is right in the middle. See, we've been running these all kind of ways. We're going to go back, add our 2 champions. And remember, all of your food champions are of no help. So the good thing is if you keep all of your slots full, everyone is going to get 25%. Of course, for Deliana, that 25% is wasted. But it's another reason I'm really tempted to go ahead and take the plunge to elevate enough of my champions to level 5 to be able to sacrifice them. So a lot of these runs that we're doing right now are really for the first champion that we're going to try to take to level 6. We should be able to run this one without issue. We'll see how this one works out. But campaign is one of those you're going to find yourself grinding away quite a bit, just making sure that your champions are always progressing. You can farm for food. There are areas within dungeons, if you've made it to that point, where you will be able to get chickens for different start levels, which can definitely help you also progress your champions a lot quicker. This is where the grind starts. So, figuring out which champion is most important to you. I've got my eye on a couple of them. Sometimes just because your champion is aesthetically pleasing doesn't mean that it's going to be your best option. We're still at defeat. So 704 net XP, not where I want to be. So we're going to back it down again. Now, and here's the difference, and I'll show you guys the difference. So I'm going to go back to Brimstone, right? But instead of staying at hard, we're going to go back to normal. And let me show you what normal does. Number one, you're going to save a little bit of energy, which I'm not exactly energy concerned, but trust me, guys, energy in silver, especially silver, the more you ascend your champions, the more you start getting into those higher levels of gear, those become really important. So we're back to normal mode. I don't want to drop down too far. Remember when we were defeated, we had 783 XP that we were given. Whew, so hard to talk in the morning. So we're going to see what this does. And what you're looking for is a level that Deliana can run on her own, because everyone else is going to give out usually within that first round. Going through this area the very first time, if you guys can go back and kind of think of normal when you just started, this was one of the hardest areas of campaign ever. So at this point, she should be able to comfortably run this alone. Once I find a level that I know my lead champion is able to farm successfully, and that's a big one, I will then set my multi-battles and I will run all of my multi-battles at that point. If you are setting your multi-battles and not double checking that your champion will be successful, and you're also checking the little box that says continue to run even when a battle is lost, you will run through battle after battle after battle, and you will not pull nearly the amount of experience. Now, even losing 1,300 experience. All right. So you guys kind of see where we're going with this. It's almost tempting to leave her here, but I'm going to go back. Let's go to the Deadlands, check out 12.3, and we're going to figure out which area will actually give you the most experience. So that one, I believe, was what, 1,300? Let's see if we win this particular battle, if it gets better. If it does, I'm going to always run where I can maximize my time for the amount of resources that I will receive. Now, what do you guys think of some of the champions? Let's talk about common and uncommon while this is running. There are a couple of common and uncommon champions. You've heard us talk about Shield Guard. You've heard and seen videos about Armiger. Here we go. So, pause. 29 seconds was the run. 15-20. So see the difference in being able to win. Now, what we can do is let's go up another level and let's check out the difference in XP. And I will sit here and fine tune this until I find that area that I feel is going to be the most productive for me. Keeping in mind, I want to upgrade all of my champions, especially my food champions, before everything else. So when I go in to set the queue for this particular campaign run, you're going to set it with all of your food champions going through first. If you have a high number of runs to do, some people are doing 30, 50, 100. And then you're going to set your upper champions. If you set your upper champions first, they're going to use up all of your battles long before you ever make it to your food champions. The name of the game is keeping in mind who is going to be most important. All right, we're at 1540. I'm going to keep going up. Deliana is able to run a pretty good time. I will run Deadlands, and this is where, of course, you can acquire War Maiden. I've also obtained shards where I pull marked, and I did not keep marked. So I'm hoping to be able to get a shard to pull her again. But this is one of those stages in campaign that I have run several times and will often use it instead of that last stage, only because at this point, it's a lot easier for my champions. You will notice as you're running multi-battles, because I don't want those 1, 2, or 3-star items. These items, for example, accuracy, attack 2%. We have quite a few chest plates, so I would go ahead and sell that and just walk away with silver. Of course, you're going to have your tournament points and the XP. We're still at 1550. If I can get closer to 2000, it would make me feel even better. But we're running these in pretty steady time. You also will afford yourself the opportunity to maybe obtain a couple of dupes of champions as you're going along the way. I'm paying attention as well to which of my champions are performing a little bit better. So, of course, we were down to 2. At least we had one of our food specimen make it to round 2 with us. That'll help us out a little bit. So we may actually run the stage 7 as our campaign level for today. So tell me, guys, how do you pick which level in campaign you want to farm? How often are you guys farming? And at what point are you going to start decreasing the number of champions that you're working with? All questions, a ton of questions. Selling that artifact, definitely won't be using that one. We're going to go in. We've made it to, of course, the boss level. And if I can run this boss level in a pretty decent amount of time, I may choose to just stay here. Now, the type of gear that you're needing, a lot of times I will run areas for speed gear. I run areas a lot for attack gear. It is the number one area, or the number one type of champion that I pulled on several of my accounts. So pay attention to the type of artifacts that will be needed by your team and make sure you're running those levels in particular. Of course, those dungeons are where you can acquire your glyphs, which can add to your abilities, and of course, pull scrolls from masteries as well. If we're able to get through my boss, I think I'm going to run his level, but he may take us out because, of course, his attacks are going to be back to back to back, and my little Deliana is not going to make it. All right. So notice that 976. So I'm going to back this up. And I'm going to go to stage 9-6. None of my champions currently have an aura, but I do have the multi-battles. So I'm going to set my multi-battles. And right here, top box, be very careful. Number 1, continue multi-battles even when all champions hit their max level. We actually want our champions to go through the queue. So once you've reached max level, I want you to be replaced with another champion, of course. Continue multi-battles even if you lose. If I'm setting at a level I'm comfortable at, for this particular moment, I am comfortable enough to allow these battles to continue, only because I know of the level where my lead farmer is. I'm not going to use gems currently to automatically restore. Be careful about this one as well. If you have energy that is in your little treasure chest from the home screen, you want to make sure you are starting with enough energy to make it through. I have mistakenly clicked this button and ran way more battles than I had thought about and ended up depleting my gem storage altogether. So it's definitely something that you want to avoid. The other thing is, don't forget to set your queue. Guys, this is a huge one. So I'm going to be running of course, my 2 stars, but I'm also going to go in and run the rest of my 3. I have a ton of 3-star champion. Mother Superior is one. Lamabert is another one. Apothecary is definitely one for this account that I would like to get up and moving, because right now between him and Mother Superior, they're going to be my my number one champions for support um, overall. The other thing is, I have a couple of champions that I'll probably want to take out of the vault and begin working on them as well. And just depending on, sometimes you will vault a champion because you're not ready for them. You forget that they're there. And then all of a sudden it's, I haven't ran you in a while. Maybe I should. And we're definitely to that point with a few of our champions. So I'm going to come back and set this in motion, kind of see how things go. And I think after that, we're going to talk about champions that we're going to sacrifice in order to take a few people, or at least one person, to level 6. Guys, if you stuck with me for this long, do me a favor and don't forget to subscribe. Let me know how your campaign farming is going. How have you been ascending your champions, and how are you choosing who to 6-star and who are you going to leave at 5 stars? We'd love to hear from you guys. And of course, we record and post every Monday through Friday. I will see you soon.